If you want to build a house, whether with your own hands or with the help of workers, or if you want to buy a ready-made one, you definitely need to come here, and now I'll tell you why. For 4 years, I wanted to attend the Open Village Private Housing Exhibition, but I never had enough money or time. And I've almost finished building my house, but when I finally got the chance, I decided to come to the exhibition, and I really regret not coming here earlier. My house could have turned out even better, but let's take it one step at a time. A village is chosen for the exhibition where more than 50 houses have been built this year using a wide range of construction methods and modern materials. And you can see in person all possible frame houses, aerated concrete, ceramics, LSTC, CLT, and other types of houses. Some of the houses are sold even during the preparation stage for the exhibition, and some are sold during the event. So this is not a museum, but real houses where real people will live. And next year, a different village is chosen for the project. In my opinion, this is a really cool concept, and I have a lot of respect for the organizers. Besides the houses, there are a huge number of booths, material manufacturers, utilities, and basically everything you might need when building your own home. I often run into some of you on the street and was surprised to learn that the Self-Builder channel is watched by not just self-builders but also big shots. You might be interested to know that various ministers of construction and the State Duma committee are speaking at the exhibition. So you can discuss certain issues with people you wouldn't just meet on the street. I didn't really need to take part in all this activity, so I immediately ran off to look at the houses. A bit of LSTC technology. It was really interesting to see all of this in person because before that I had only seen it on video. It's really interesting to poke around everywhere right now, walk around, see what this is, shake things a bit, see how it all works. I even had some wild ideas to use an LSTC roof on my own house. It's usually just a slab and an aerated concrete block. Instead of wood, to use light gauge steel framing, but just the supporting part alone would have cost about 300,000 just for the structure itself, and my entire roof cost 300. That's with finishing, insulation, metal, everything included. Out of all the frame houses, probably the one I was most interested to see was the houses by builder Sarajev called Scout House. The topic that's relevant for me is the carport for 2 cars. The only issue is there's no utility shed.
The second version of the Scout House from the Scout series is 130 square meters with 3 bedrooms, a living room and 2 bathrooms. Here's the closet and here's the bathroom. The house is divided into 2 parts. The left side is the noisy one, you could say, and the right side is where the bedroom is.
What I lack at home is home offices. In fact,
it first appeared in 56 in the Scout. Yes, it was bulky. 2.5, it was a bit smaller. And well, some people didn't really like it because it was actually pretty cramped back then.
well, I think it's perfect like this.
Here's the utility cabinet, and overall, well, this solution is meant for dogs.
This option is for people with dogs, for example. You can let your dog in from the street, wash it here, dry the dog off, and then your dog is all nice and clean.
There's underfloor heating here.
No drama. You don't need to bring the dog through the main entrance or the terrace. This is also a convenient solution that was recommended to me. I have a surface-mounted sink, but here it's an inset sink, so we can just sweep everything into the sink without any edges. Wooden frame.
Yes.
Very thick profile. It's cool. Mine is 2.40 meters high. Here it's a bit smaller, but it's much better in terms of durability and use. It should be, and mine moves around a lot, but here it's completely solid. It stands properly.
Nope.
I usually have a PVC one. The solution I talked about but didn't show. I was also thinking of making a bath screen for myself, just basically out of wood. Why shouldn't you save money here? This is a pressure-treated board. Did I say that right? Yes. And here it's regular wood, and you can see what happens. That's why you shouldn't do this, and a lot of DIY builders say, look, I did it cheaply, aren't I great? But the fact that later they'll be walking on resin, sticking to it, they won't show you that part. On the roof, a PVC membrane from Technonicole is used as the roofing material. Ventilated skylight. Above the living room, the downspout runs behind the cladding, so you can't see it from the street. It's hidden back there behind the boards. The main feature of the houses from Niaz's team is that they're modular homes, assembled at the factory and installed on your site in just a few days. Honestly, I wouldn't consider it for a permanent residence, but it's quite suitable as a summer house. First of all, a house like mine can't be left unheated. It needs to be heated all the time. And even if you just lower the temperature, then back again. Back again. Because of the high thermal inertia, my house takes 2 days to heat up to a comfortable temperature. So you end up arriving for the weekend to a cold house, and by the time it warms up, it's already time to leave. In this scenario, frame houses have an advantage. Secondly, modular homes are for those who want to use the house here and now and not spend the next 10 years dealing with construction. They quoted me an approximate price of 120,000 per square meter. There are different layout options, both smaller and larger. And I happen to have an academic background, so I want to find the perfect house layout for myself. Since I was forced to build a 1.5-story house, if circumstances had allowed, I would have preferred to build a single-story house, and I really like this house. Plus, I came across a construction technology I hadn't known before, with the scary name Massive Holzmauer, and I got interested in figuring out what it actually is. Also, an alternative configuration for my house, which I would have built if I had more financial resources. And overall we get just over 100 square meters. An apartment where we have a spacious hallway, where a wardrobe can be installed to store clothes, and a coat rack. To the left as you enter, we have something like a utility room where you can place both the boiler and the water heater. There's also a filtration system. There's still quite a lot of space for installing additional equipment. And then we move on to something very similar to what I have, a kitchen living room. It's almost exactly the same, just bigger. The area here is much larger. Since I shifted the under staircase space in my place, I ended up with quite a small area, but here it's very spacious. And this part is a little bigger than what I have. There's a sliding patio door provided for access to the terrace. I'm really glad I decided against this solution. I tried opening and closing it. It's terrible to use, impossible. It's better to install a hinged door. The in-floor convector is installed here to block out the cold, because at home I noticed that, for example, during a party, if someone comes in for a quick drink or a cup of tea, if someone, like I have a little couch here and not everyone fits on it, someone sits here on a chair and their back is exposed, it's cold. And I tried to install underfloor heating, but the workers just did a poor job with it. If they had put more heating coils here for the underfloor heating, then basically this wouldn't even be necessary. They just needed to lay the underfloor heating coils here more densely, much more densely. And in the blueprints for my house project, I've already taken this into account. It should be better if I build again. And the terrace is also built farther out than mine. For me, it's basically just a big porch, but here it's already a full terrace. We can easily gather here with friends. These steps here, in my opinion, are unnecessary. It could have ended right here. To the right from the hallway, we have the first full bathroom, basically for everyone. There's a vanity with a sink, and here's the bathtub setup. It looks beautiful in person, but there's no light here now. It looks great in person, it might seem dark to you now, but everyone who bought this always complains later because everything there is wet. Absolutely everything is soaked. There's always water everywhere. Everything just leaks there. Oh my god. This is a very impractical solution. But overall it's cool, it looks really great. You could just change this solution a bit and I think it would be quite convenient to use. On the left we have two identical rooms that can be used for an armchair. An office or a kid's room. They're small in size, which I really like because a room where only one person is supposed to sleep doesn't need to be huge. That's not a rational use of space. Sure, it's cool if you have the money to make a huge room, but most people want to spend their money wisely. There are two rooms that are about the same size, and on the right side there's a bigger room, the so-called master bedroom that everyone loves. It's big and spacious, you can put everything separately. There's also a walk-in closet, and this solution with the door, well, it's up to personal preference. To the right is another bathroom, directly accessible from the bedroom. Here you can see how the house is built. We have boards that are nailed crosswise with aluminum nails, and the thickness of the panel is chosen depending on the region. Inside, 2 layers of drywall are applied to it, and then painting, wallpaper, or tiles are added. Whatever you need on the outside, you can choose any option. The load-bearing part itself also serves as the main thermal insulation layer. These are insulation batts. Here are boards, for example, assembled as a wall panel directly at the factory as a whole. They arrive at your construction site as a huge panel and are installed with a crane. The house is assembled literally in almost 5 hours. Foundation, walls, roof, 4 million. It's actually not expensive, by the way. In my opinion, using boards for the walls is a controversial decision, but for some people it will be more preferable than, for example, a house made of insulation, which is what a traditional frame house actually is. But the house itself, overall, I really liked it. This is pretty much an ideal layout for me personally. Besides the house on your own plot, no matter how you look at it, you still can't do without an outbuilding. Plus, you wouldn't have to clear snow off 2 cars. And there's a solution for that kind of task too. It's a really practical thing. I was actually planning to build a carport this season. I don't know how it'll turn out. This is one of the ideal options that I would like to consider. Here's how to make a 2-car carport with an outbuilding instead of a garage.
It's probably in working condition right now.
During operation.
That's absolutely right.
If you put some shelves along this long wall, it would be just perfect.
That's right. Notice, up there we can clearly see the roof joints. So the main point here is that
the foundation is usually board piles or driven piles. No slabs, strip footings or anything like that. There's a pile head with a metal frame anchored to it. And then we have these trusses. And on top of the geotextile there's a sand base and paving stones. There were a lot of canopies at the exhibition and I liked this one the most. And by the way, Ilya, when are you building a carport? This kind of carport costs 2.5 million and that's without the paving stones. Yes, you can adjust the price if you do it yourself. You can cut the price in half, but I still don't have an extra million yet. I'm working on it. And since we're talking about metal structures, people mentioned it in the comments too. And I was personally interested in seeing a house made from a shipping container in real life. Calling it a house is a bit of an exaggeration. I would describe it more as a glorified shed. Again, I wouldn't consider it for permanent living, but as a summer house, it could be an interesting option. Everything basically arrives almost ready-made and can be assembled on the site in 24 hours. And in the end, you get 128 square meters move-in ready for 2,600,000. That comes out to 93,000 per square meter. The base is a metal container, then sprayed polyurethane insulation and decorative finishing with boards. Because of the dimensions, it turns out long and very narrow, which can be inconvenient. And I somehow forgot to check what the cell reception is like inside. The attached terrace saves the whole thing, and for it, I found something I had been looking for a long time. The blocks I was looking for to use as supports. To make a frame for the terrace. Initially, I wanted to make the frame out of wood. I was looking for blocks that would make it easy to support a post on them. Basically, you only need to prepare the surface right under the block itself. You don't need to level it horizontally. We install the posts and they can be made from either timber or boards. This is what we level and then we just cut it as needed. It's very quick and convenient. I've watched a lot of American YouTube. The second terrace stands on these kinds of blocks, but before building my own terrace, when I tried to find where to buy these, I had no luck. So I went with the approach, as they say, when in doubt, just pour a slab. Now I'll know where to buy these. And I would gladly use this solution, for example, for a utility shed. And now, in many cases, you can do without screw piles. You can see how much the terrain varies. And you don't need to level anything. Here they just stand and serve as our support. The sun is already setting. This solution with blocks is actually a perfect thing for self-builders, and also for those who need temporary platforms, scaffolding, and other structures. You can assemble and disassemble everything without harming the landscape. Just now, some subscribers caught me outside. They said this company built their frame house. They said the frame house is awesome. They invited me, but I don't believe it. I need to go in and see if everything is really that good. You could even think that I just came home to my own place. A very similar solution. But this is exactly where I cut these sections out in my version, and here there are 2 additional rooms. A solution that I might do differently the second time is to use tiles instead of concrete for the strip around the house. That way it's easier to repair. And you can lay different tiles here, the cheapest ones, or you can make it look nicer. And then make it match the style of the walkways. I don't like the gravel finish, it's not very good. There are several houses here, ones that are exactly the same basically as my house. And I'm really interested to compare my self-built creation with what professionals have made for the exhibition. Foamed window reveal. And overall, well, it's much better with the bitumen tape. Planking with battens. Also with special fasteners. Maybe I could do something like this at my place. With the single-story version, the house will be much lower. I can almost reach the eaves with my hand. It's much more compact. It turns out that the canopy is just a bit longer. Well, just a bit, maybe about half a meter longer than mine. It's lower here, and the terrace turned out to be half a meter longer. And now you can already put a small sofa, a chair here. There's a swing like mine, but mine takes up almost all the space. Here there's still some room, making it more convenient. Of course, it's better to do it like this, and not like I did, a little bit farther, and without that little extension. Don't add the decorative part like I did, just make it straight but a little bit longer. I was just afraid it would look kind of weird, but in practice it turns out it's actually totally fine. And here is the larch, and with clumsy installation it broke the fastener here, pushed everything out, so overall it's not great. Even with natural lumber, and probably especially with it, you can't neglect the proper work process. I was also interested to see in person the Utong aerated concrete block, which is considered premium and has now been renamed to Istkult. I wanted to get my hands on it too, touch it, feel it, and see if it's any different from what I bought. It's an interesting solution. When the masonry is done, it's aligned along the outer surface, and before laying the block, a chamfer is made. This way, we can get a surface like this, a wall surface that, in some people's opinion, might not even need any additional exterior finishing. And some people make a chamfer on a whole aerated concrete block themselves, but you can also buy a factory-made solution where everything is already prepared, and you can simply attach it to your masonry with adhesive foam. It costs about 700 rubles per square meter. Visually, on a large scale, there's no difference, and for a more detailed analysis, you'd really have to work with it. So, at first glance, it seems like its geometry is noticeably better after all. And probably the thing that surprised me the most was that when I came back home after the exhibition, it turned out that I actually did everything at a pretty high level. And after seeing the houses built for the exhibition by professionals, my self-built project doesn't fall short. Of course, considering that I still haven't finished everything yet. I noticed that everyone uses entrance doors that are at least twice as expensive as the one I installed, and I'm really not satisfied with my door. As for the window profiles, they usually use thicker ones, and the terrace door setup is built more robustly. Otherwise, all the solutions are similar. There were only a few houses where everything was really luxurious. It was interesting to look at those too. Most solutions are affordable and offer great value for the money. I feared everything at the exhibition would be at Moscow prices, but my worries were unfounded. I saw ventilation solutions in person that I would have used myself if I had known about them earlier, and honestly, I would get tired listing everything else I saw. After 6 hours of filming, my camera died, my phone died, my voice was gone, and I was exhausted myself, but I was very satisfied. The main conclusion I brought back for you. If you have plans to get your own house, be sure to visit Open Village in person. Not everything can be properly evaluated through video. The exhibition will continue for a while, and the 1,500 ruble ticket is well worth it. I know not everyone is near Moscow. I also traveled 1,500 kilometers in my Blue Beetle, and now knowing how useful it is, I would fly in from anywhere, again. Thank you to everyone involved in organizing the event. Thank you to everyone I met in person. It was a real pleasure, and I almost came to the exhibition just for one house, and there will be a separate video about it very soon, so subscribe to the channel so you don't miss it. Also subscribe to the Telegram channel to quickly find out where I'm planning to go. All the links, as always, are in the description. And see you in the next video.